Hello, family. I'm Janaya FutureCon, and this is Dark Woke. Just before we hit it, I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there, and a special shout out to the supporters who make this show possible. It truly means the world to me. If you'd like to become a member, our Patreon is linked in the episode right up below. Okay, listen to me. Okay, so a couple of things. One, I just had to be sick. I just had to be sick because it turns out that Adderall and Dayquil and Red Bulls are the thief of joy. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's the thief of joy. So I was like, yesterday, I just had to be sick. I wasn't going to until I got on the phone with Corey, and then he looked at me, and I was as ugly as I thought. Do you know sometimes we just have ugly days? Right. And you're just like, it's fine. I look normal. I know this is in my head. It's totally fine. It's inexplicable. You wake up one morning and you're a monstrosity. And it's the same. You look the same that you have every morning. But that in this case yesterday, it was true. The head cold was in my face. So I pulled back and now we're doing this later. But it turns out that I am happier as a person than I thought I could be about this whole thing. I was too in the weeds. And by the way, unfortunately, everything I said was just spot on. But I couldn't even celebrate the Zoran stuff. And now I'm definitely like, wait, what the fuck? This is a great thing. And certainly, understanding that both of these things that happened with the wins in uh, Virginia and New Jersey and the wins in New York fucking matter explosively, right? It's just that on the left, we tend to care about the New York thing more. And on the establishment left, and again, I'm not talking about the establishment dams, right? But on the establishment, they care more about those things. And what were the wins there? It wasn't just the Democratic wins. It was simply that in Virginia and New Jersey, former Trump voters went blue. That is significant. That matters, right? At the same time, somebody who sounds like us is hot as shit, so looks like us, right? Because if you actually care about other people and think about other people, you're fucking hot. That's just a baseline. I don't know if you guys knew that, right? But our politics are currently on full display. Now, do I want to get into the Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, who ran a similar platform, right? And whoever that white guy is in San Francisco, and compare them to this moment and what they've been able to achieve as mayors, and it's not as gleaming and glossy as you want. One of the things that Mayor Brandon Johnson, has struggled with in Chicago, and I don't know if you guys know, but he won 2 years ago. It was massive. I'll talk a little bit about that, but the police own the budgets over there, right? There's a lot of limitations, a lot of red tape. I would argue even Karen Bass, who gets a really bad rep, right? Like, we're not grateful that she's here, and certainly we should be critical of power, but a big reason for a lot of our criticisms that we simply do not understand how the system works. And that's mainly the thing that I care about, is how to do I make us sound and think smarter with a comprehensive understanding of what matters to. It's not so much we need to care about what matters to Democrats and the establishment. No, it's that we make so little sense because our job is to speak to, right, and persuade and get folks to buy into our shit. And a big way we do that is to actually fold in their arguments and their analysis. Oh my God, this is so much easier when I'm not sick. The last couple of episodes were just me trying to fight through it and talking about shit I didn't want to talk about. And I got to tell you, like, I got a notification on my phone. Hold on. It said, you guys are going to fucking love this. Uh, and I was like, please, God, let it be him. Okay. Medical emergency in the White House as someone collapses. Dear God, I know it's been some time since we've had a conversation of any, whatever, but a lot of that has to do with moments like this. And if you could please maybe see it in your infinite wisdom and massive heart to make this the person we all hope it is, and fold him in your bosom or wherever you see appropriate. I trust you. I trust you implicitly. God, OG, to put this person where they belong and everyone else around them. Okay, it's too sacrilegious for me to say amen, but I'll say a woman. Okay, back to it. So there's a couple of things. One is, of course, yay, fucking Zoran won. And one of the major wins there wasn't just in our, you know, politics that sound and feel so much closer to ours. It was the sense of possibility that now we're talking about the establishment and simply never, ever, 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 ever provide for us, ever, trying new things. And I think Zoran's going to be able to do that regardless. And it's not all going to work, right? And I think what I want is for us to be smarter, like Brandon Johnson. So what ends up happening is somebody that's ours gets into office, right? And then the establishment fucking hates them, right? Like literally hates them. And then we start to turn on them as they don't see through much of what we thought, right? And then they're also a target on the right because the right understands how dangerous their ideas are. And so they end up getting heat from three sides. And, in AOC's case, she's quite insulated. But the people online are very loud and, for the most part, it's easy to say, well, they don't matter that much. Which I think in the day to day is true, but then when you get an issue, right? And this is not the right term, but indulge me, like Palestine, right? Foreign policy, it suddenly became very, very serious because those people were able to form connections. And I'm not talking about the fact that there's an Israeli apartheid happening and we need to do something about it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking specifically about how those malcontents found each other online and then used AOC's voting record as a weapon against her. Despite the fact that several of the things that she voted for were like they would have passed overwhelmingly regardless, and that she's playing chess, and we don't seem to understand that she's playing chess, and you have to play chess. So you checkers, nignogs, need to go there, and there's several ways we can address that, which is one, of course, having a more robust analysis so that we can start platforming those understandings, that we can start yapping ourselves, that we can start creating new ways of thinking, new strategies, and all these other things. And then, all the art shit, whatever, right? Whatever. But for now, and everyone was just like, he's not even a socialist. He voted again around the Working Families Party. And that was something I forgot to mention because it's like, okay, well, how do we, you're saying these things and I don't want to become an electoral guy or, I don't want to be this kind of organizer. And it's okay. You actually don't have to be. That's what these organizations are so great about, like the Working Families Party. And again, this is someone, the current national director of the Working Families Party came from the movement for Black Lives. That's Maurice Mitchell. And this is someone I know. This is someone whose politics are amazing and they're playing a strategy game to win. But it's not one of those moments where you get to plug into something that's already functioning, do some good work there, and then go on with your lives and do the work that really matters to us. It's just about plugging into what already exists, not making something up new entirely. We actually don't need to do that, right? And no, you don't have to run for office if you don't want to. Although occasionally you will. Like no, there's some things we have to do that we don't want to do. Okay, but I get to look at hot people more now because of Zoran and Rama. And just think about what that would feel like if we were run a country run by hotties. AOC, hot. Okay. Are you serious? And there's all these other reps that we gotta go down the road into. But first, I want to play. There's I want to play the speech that Zoran gave. It's a clip of it. It's great. I want you to hear his little, baby voice and just vibe out for a second.
But I have one final request. New York City.
You listen to me. If you're near a convenience store right now, any type of 24-hour store, go into the store right now and put your hand in the cash register for no reason. Their money is your money as of right now.
Okay. Okay, that was not the right one. But low key fire, right? I want you to walk into a convenience store, put your hand in the register, take out the cash. Like, not in independently owned stores, but in the corporations. That's in the billionaires. We're snatching that money. No, here is a clip. I just want you to hear the crowd. I want you to hear the crowd, and it was a really moving speech. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of fuss about what he really meant. His aloof wife was a lot less aloof tonight. What the fuck was that with the New York Post? By the way, their cover art is phenomenal. Everyone's buying it, and I'm like, don't just download a really high resolution JPEG online. There's so many. Stop giving the New York Post your monies.
Thank you, my friends. The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change, a mandate for a new kind of politics, a mandate for a city we can afford, and a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City. And that is because of you. So before I say anything else, I must say this. Thank you. Thank you to the next generation of New Yorkers who refused to accept that the promise of a better future was a relic of the past. You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership. We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum. Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. To every New Yorker in Kensington and Midwood and Hunts Point, know this. This city is your city, and this democracy is yours too.
So yeah, so look, you can hear the crowd roaring. He's got this message of togetherness. He's got a message for Trump, and you'd think that would mean something to the Democrats. You'd think that would mean something to the pundits that yap a lot, right? Pelosi's on her way out. Goodbye. Goodbye, you withered sarcophagus. Get out. And if you could take Schumer's bitch ass with you, right? But one of the things that I mentioned just before that was the Working Families Party, and Zoran voted on the WFP line, right? That's significant. That means that he's tapped in. They were an integral force in his win, right? Not the whole, hey, everybody pay attention to me. I'm on social media. I've got something to say. Right? They're just like, hey, this is good work. This is good work. It did make me think, though, when I was just like sitting there about the whole New York thing about who would vote for who in Sex and the City. You know what I mean? Like, who would vote for who? Carrie is voting for Cuomo. 100%. 100%. She's voting for Cuomo. I think we know that. Samantha, she started out as a sleewa because they slept together in the 80s. They definitely did. Like, he was low-key kind of hot. Like, she was just going through a thing, right? And then felt obligated to, but then met Zoran somewhere, and he's so fine that she was like, okay. Do you know what I mean? Charlotte was a sleewa for sure, right? Because Cuomo's too, like, creepy, whatever, she just couldn't, right? She likes what he's got to say. He's weird. Miranda was Zoran from the jump. Miranda probably convinced Charlotte to vote for him too. That's fight me on it. That's my take. But yeah, you'd think that they'd celebrate this. But you want to know something? Do you remember Van Jones? Remember our fucking champion? Why don't we pull up? There's a clip from the Breakfast Club where Charlemagne, like, I won't forgive any of us or Van Jones for ever making me have to be like, look how much sense Charlemagne the God is making. But why don't we play that clip because he responded in such a stupid way. He called Zoran's speech divisive, and it's like, because he's saying that the fucking president and everything else in the billionaire class are like destroying our lives and our economy and our sense of possibility. Like, yeah, that's exactly what the fuck they're doing. When did we have a problem with that?
How is any of that divisive? I personally loved that he covered all bases. He talked about working with police, helping people with mental health issues. He talked about helping the homeless, trans people, black women, Jewish people, the Muslim community. Most importantly, he spoke to the working class of all races. Van Jones didn't like that. He thought it was divisive.
But I think he missed an opportunity. The Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. He was almost yelling. That said, he's very young, and he just pulled off something that's very, very difficult. But I think he missed an opportunity to open himself up tonight, and I think that will probably cost him going forward.
Man, shut the F up forever, okay? Damn. There was no opportunity missed. The man just won, and he deserved to take a victory lap. There's absolutely nothing divisive about calling out bad landlords who take advantage of tenants, calling out billionaires who are corrupt and don't pay their fair share of taxes, and administration trying to implement an authoritarian strategy on America. There is nothing wrong with calling that out. See, the reason a lot of things don't change in this country is because you don't have enough politicians that are willing to challenge capitalism. And Zoran is doing that.
Very hard for me to get inside of Van Jones's head, but I would remind people that Van Jones in 2017 is the guy who gave us the most famous line of the first Trump administration. Van Jones on CNN said, tonight he became president of the United States. Van Jones thinks that Donald Trump gives unifying speeches that make him president, but thinks Zoran Mamdani, who's united a multiracial, multicultural, multi-income coalition, is divisive. That tells you more about Van Jones than it does tell you about Zoran Mamdani. I mean, Jared Kushner's pal wasn't a fan of Zoran Mamdani's anti-oligarchy, anti-Trump speech. I'm shocked.
Please give Van Jones the biggest hee-haw.
Okay, so you can see why Van Jones, like, we just got to leave that bold bitch behind. And interestingly enough, I might have a moment where I'm another race traitor. I want to swap Van Jones out. Like, because if you're going to have to provide, if you're going to have to be bold and provide a different context, right? If that's currently my criteria, I would like to bring on Rutger Bregman. Now, Rutger Bregman, you've heard me mention him before, perhaps some of the OG listeners, but he's the guy who wrote Utopia for Realists. And if you haven't read it, it's great for understanding how to think about capitalism differently. And when I say differently, I don't mean save capitalism. I mean, he's like, so much of this is just fucking made up, and we could literally be living, like, he describes that the GDP is just bullshit. And he essentially is like, we could be living in the best place ever. But he's an economist who understands how to talk about economy. And one of our weaknesses is our inability to sort of think through what comes after capitalism, or even to fully understand why it's not functioning beyond the fact that it's bad, right? Now, I'm not playing this video because I agree with everything that he's saying. It's important to listen to different perspectives. And to understand, because we've talked about populism. Again, it's going to be fun to sort of bring back some of the information in the past, but like how to understand populism. And it really is just like this person who is pulling the pain and the anguish or whatever from the masses and sort of reflecting it back. And it is very much built around this one leader, and that this one leader is the person for you. So I don't agree with all of his assertions, but what we do, because and like, for the record, he's very pro Mamdani. I want to be clear about that, okay? Because I think we're sitting in a reality where we've got how many billionaires? 26 billionaires put in $22 million to try to stop Mamdani, right? It's like, it's more than we know. And then, of course, the anti-Semitism thing is sort of slipping through, which is kind of funny because you got so many people who also call Mamdani an anti-Semite, but because Alex Soros also helped fund Mamdani's campaign, it's just like, it's so silly, right? Everyone, like, and then some people are like, Mamdani beat the billionaire class, he's amazing. And then people are like, well, you used the billionaire class. And it's like, shut the fuck up, right? Like, can we please be so serious? But anyway, I want you to just listen to this around rhetoric and populism. Next episode or whatever, next week, we'll talk about sort of the implications of, what happens when our people get into power, because this doesn't happen the way that we want to all the time, but this is a big deal. Anyway, let's just play this this video from Rutger, and remember that he's pro Mamdani. He's a big believer in the sense of possibility, but he also is a very, very, very good economist.
Zoran Mamdani used Donald Trump's playbook to get elected. Not the ideology, of course, but the method. Now, I know that sounds weird, but please stick with me. Both of them didn't build movements with policy papers or long speeches. They built them with emotion. They built them with memes that spread fast, that made people feel first and think later.
Together, New York, we're going to freeze the...
And both of them were also heavily underestimated. The establishment laughed at them, legacy candidates were true favorites, the media dismissed them as unserious, fringe, a joke, and all that condescension only proved their point, that they were outsiders taking on a rigged system. Now, Trump went after Republican elites, Zoran goes after corporate Democrats and billionaires. But here's the thing, when politics turns into theater, governing can become an afterthought. And that's how you end up with ideas that sound great as slogans, like rent freezes, but in practice, and the economic evidence is pretty clear here, they can make housing even scarcer. And this is all part of the same problem, performance politics. When you're rewarded for going viral, not governing well, the irony is that both left and right can fall for it. Because in this attention economy, even rebellion gets commodified by the algorithm. And what we lose then is the quiet, boring, difficult work of actually fixing the world. Now, I want to be clear here. I am rooting for Zoran Mondani, sincerely. I think his heart is in the right place, and I think he's pretty damn smart. But the real test begins now. Can he move from fighting the system to actually fixing it? Because if he can take all that passion and turn it into something real, well, that's the kind of leadership New York and the rest of the world needs.
Isn't he fucking good? But weren't you also annoyed when you listened to him? Right? Okay. So what he's doing is he's saying, like, this is what populism sounded like here. This is what it sounds like here. And one of the concerns and criticisms is, can Mamdani deliver on the promises that he made? And I think we're so fucking stressed at this point that we're like, honestly, just fucking, who cares? It was amazing that he ran on what he ran on, and they lie all the time, and why can't we? But the thing is, it's like the stakes are higher for us when we make promises and we don't deliver. That being said, a lot of that has to do with how entrenched we can become and how loyal we can become, and whether or not we really understand the roadblocks and barriers for making something happen. I think he's going to be more effective than anyone else. I think he's not afraid of burning, his career, he's because being a politician isn't a career choice for him, right? And if it is, it's not one he's overly committed to. I mean, he was a rapper, so, which honestly I kind of fucking love. So it's so millennial, the multi-hyphenate shit. But what Rutger's speaking to is whether or not it's realistic for Mamdani's policy promises to come through and what happens when politics turns into theater. But I think that's just the reality of what we live in. Do you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, if it comes down to the playbook where Trump's play is build that wall and Mamdani's is free buses and freeze the rent, we both know where we're going, right? We both know where we're going. At the same time, Rutgers looking at things from like Science Direct, for example, right? Take rent control. An overview on the study says, though rent control appears to be very effective in achieving lower rents for families in controlled units, its primary goal, which is its primary goal. It also results in a number of undesired effects, including, among others, higher rents for uncontrolled units, lower mobility, and reduced residential construction. These unintended effects counteract the desired effect, thus diminishing the net benefit of rent control. So we have to assume that Zoran knows this, and his administration and his team will know this. And at the same time, do we understand? Because this is what so many establishment Dems and just general money people, this is their pushback. And ours is just like, well, but capitalism is bad. And it's like, no, we actually need to have responses. And one of the best ways to do that is to understand economy better and to understand what our talking points are when we push back against it. Okay. That's it. I wanted us to go out on a high because it's been a weird fucking time. I am so excited about what can happen. And I can forget that sometimes when I'm sick and on Dayquil and Adderall and Red Bull. Just do one. That's what I found out. Or none. Which is also really good sometimes. All right, I'm just yapping. You don't need to hear about how I'm doing, health-wise. But there's something I want to remind you of, okay? This is the energy that we need to have. I need you to hear me. This is the energy we need to have right now, okay? So, 50 Cent was out here talking some shit on my boy, right? 50 Cent was talking some shit out here on my Mamdani. You don't talk about my fucking Mom Donnie like that, bro. You want to know what Mom Donnie's response was when he won? Play that shit.
Greatest city on earth, Zoran Mamdani.
That's right. You heard it. My boy came out to Ja Rule. That's a millennial that is here for millennials, okay? This is the nigga before he came out of jail selling microwaves and doing Fire Fest. We need to be on that little bald man Ja Rule shit. Don't hear that 50? Don't come from my boy. Okay, sorry. I've lost my goddamn mind. This is good. It was a good weekend for the left. All of us. We rarely get everybody got something. When does that ever happen where everybody got something? And maybe it'll be enough to boost morale. But if it's not, then we got to just create the connective tissues where that happens. Okay, sending mad love to each and every one of you. Thanks for sticking it through. Thank you, Corey, for making us look good, sound good. We had some tech issues, and Corey was breezy, cool as the other side of the pillow. And I don't think I've ever been described as that in my life. Anyway, I love you all very much. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to what the fuck is next. I've got so many little small things, big things I haven't talked too much about yet, but I'm going to a full day training now, hoping to, make some connections. This networking thing is for the birds, but it turns out when C.R. James said that the revolution starts at home, he didn't actually mean in my house. Did you know that? I didn't. I have to leave the house, and it's really hard for me. So, yeah, I think the home that he was talking about was inside. So, let's go. And I will see you and hear you and yap with you next week. Thanks for listening to Dark Woke, y'all.